I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We will now open the Estacada Urban Renewal Agency meeting. We will call it to order. Can I have roll call, please?
Director Hughes.
Here.
Director McElroy.
Here.
Director Prokop.
Here.
Director Tenbush.
Here.
Director Metcalf is absent. Director Strobel is absent, and Chair Drinkwine.
Here, thank you very much for that, Darren. All right, we are at the first citizen and community group comment. I have one in front of me, John Dozel.
When's the time you start? Like now? Okay. Hi there, my name's John Dolezal and I live here in Estacada. And my comment has to do with the loan that's on the agenda. I looked through the packet and I didn't see any financials. So I went looking for some kind of financial information and I found what are called 990 forms. Most recent one is from 2022. So I looked at the last 6 years from 2017, 2018, 2019. Average revenue was about 700,000. In 2019, they ran in the red, a little over 50,000. And then COVID hit. And so from 2020, 2021 and 2022, the average jumped up gigantic. Before the first 3 years, it was about 700,000. And the last 3, it was 7.6 million. So lots of cash. And so the first question that popped into my mind is, you know, what's that revenue look like in the last 2 years? And what does that revenue look like in the years going forward through the timing of the loan? I did take a look, you know, I think the grant was a downtown grant or something like that. I know this is the loan, but I think they had a grant before. And so, you know, looking at the plans, I guess it kind of fits over in that part of town because it looks like a bunker or garage. It didn't really look like a storefront or something like that based on the designs that I saw. I just think that, you know, we're looking at literally tens of millions of dollars in unexpected extra expense in their years moving ahead. And I'm just not sure if a loan of any type is appropriate in this environment when we've got so many things coming down the pike. And that was it. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Anybody online? Anybody else? All right. We are now at the consent agenda. You've all had a chance to read it. Can I get a motion on the floor?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, I have a first.
Second.
And I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you for that. Agency business funding request from Ant Farm. It's your time.
All right.
And Elena's going to also, she's here to staff this, so
Okay.
I'll let her answer questions too as needed. But thank you, Neil, for being here.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Neil Hatley. I'm the Director of Workforce Development over at Ant Farm.
Yeah, and C.R. Miller, I'm the director of the Cafe Bakery.
And so we're here today to talk about our ongoing remodel project over at 221 Southwest Wade. We've got a PowerPoint that we'd like to share just to show some of the progress. And also show a little bit of our planning for the future. There isn't a ton of financial information in the PowerPoint. And so first, if I'd love to respond to John, I should say that I'm not the executive director. Nupa, who I'm sure I think most of you are aware of, is the executive director. And I don't know that he would have been here if he was expecting a question like that, but I'll do my best to answer it. And so, yeah, from 2019 to 2020 to 2021, with the influx of public funding for the COVID-19 pandemic, our organization pretty quickly pivoted to start doing housing assistance, to doing rapid rehousing, to doing wraparound services for folks impacted by the pandemic. And then with the most recent funding that came out for houselessness and things like that, we created a new program that we didn't actually have in 2019 or in the years prior. And so a lot of the funding it can be seen through that lens, and it should be noted that a lot of that funding, you know, while it is included in our operations budget, it just goes through us and on into citizens. So folks who own property, folks who are, you know, struggling to make their mortgage or their rent payments, that sort of thing. So I don't know if that fully answers your question, but that's without it being my department, that's, you know, about as much as I can offer on this here. Anything to add on that?
I mean, the only thing I would say was like that COVID money was simply out of survival for us as an organization. And so it was a huge pivotal moment for us to build an entirely new program that had never existed before in the history of Ant Farm, for the sake of our organization to continue to serve the rest of our programs funded through that larger funding. And since then, while we still had the housing program in existence, and we've continued to have other sourcing of funding for housing, that specific funding has since ended or like
Sure.
run out, or we've ended that program as well.
Yeah, there obviously no more COVID-19 pandemic assistance. So, but anyway, so if we can talk a little bit about, did I do that? If we talk a little bit about our remodel project, where we're at with it, how we got to where we're at, and where we're hoping to go. So, Ant Farm, go to the next slide. Thank you. Ant Farm purchased the Harmony Cafe and Bakery in November of 2022. At the time, it was our intention to do a deep clean, maybe a little refacing of the space, and then open back up pretty much immediately. Once we got the property, we started digging into stuff. We figured out that some of the equipment was not in as good a shape as we would have hoped. We figured out that the 2 bathrooms that we had were non-ADA accessible, and there were some other issues with the facilities there that were going to need some pretty significant investment. And so at that time, we made the decision to do a pretty significant overhaul of the property. We figured, you know, if we're gonna do it, we should do it right. And if we have an opportunity to expand what the facilities here can offer, now would be the time to do it. So go to the next slide. And so we began a full gut and remodel in 2023. So as you can see, we took everything in the space all the way down to the studs. We demoed a portion of the building so where the patio used to be and where the bathrooms were. They had some foundation issues. There's a pretty significant downslope in those bathrooms. And so you can go to the next one. Yeah. So one of the things that we elected to do in you know, true Ant Farm fashion is we decided to create internship opportunities. And so from the excavation to the foundation work to the flat work, and in future slides, you'll see some more of what our youth interns did. We created paid on-the-job training opportunities for youth, and so that they could really get their hands dirty and learn these trade skills. You can go to the next one. And so, sorry, can you go back one? I think I might have skipped. So yeah, you can see also we expanded the footprint of the building significantly, more than doubling the original structure. We opened up one of the original structure walls so that once it's finished, it's going to have a really open feel, a lot of like, you know, sunlight, a lot of long lines of sight to really make a welcoming environment. You can go ahead to the next one now. And so far to this point, we've got the building sheathed. We've got the new roof sheathing on. We've got the door or the windows installed. And we're at a point now where it's really time to bring in licensed tradespeople. And so one of the things that we're looking for is an infusion of funding to help us carry this thing on through to the finish line. Needless to say, it hasn't been a fast process. It has been an enjoyable one, and we have gotten a lot of really quality work done over there. But to take this thing on through to the finish line, we're hoping for some funding from the EURA today. So one of the things we'd also like to discuss, you go to the next one, is what we've done with our cafe and bakery in Sandy in the past. One of the things that we feel makes that model successful. And for that, I think Sierra is going to speak about that.
Yeah, you can go to the next slide there. The cafe opened originally in Sandy in 2013. The intention of the space was just that, it was just going to be a cafe, and really it was going to be a way for community members to learn about Ant Farm, kind of coming through, and then also find out that Twofold we're a nonprofit serving youth and families. And these 2 side photos are early stages of the space. pretty limited menu, but one thing about the cafe was that we were always going to have a scratch made menu. So I'd say less than 3% of ingredients or something that we serve to the community is brought in outside. We make everything ourselves. And I think that's been a real staple to what Item Farm makes and is very unique in the restaurant industry. You can go to the next slide there too. And as it's continued to be beloved by just being a cafe where people can get real good coffee and tea and food, it's a community space. And so within the cafe, we house 2 other programs, our cultural arts program and then the access room. And originally the access space was about teaching and providing youth with tutoring opportunities, homework time. And that space has continued to transform in the way for community members, businesses, organizations alike to use our backspace as meeting space. In Sandy, at least, we have the Chamber of Commerce that will fill out the back room on a monthly basis. And it's continued networking space for our community. Cultural arts is a way that we can showcase local artists in our space. And so we rotate the artists in Sandy, and we've had some from Estacada as well that have come out. And it's a way for outside community members to just kind of have that cultural exposure, all while they just come in to grab a cup of coffee. And so that continued way of outreaching to community members and people from Portland or whatnot, they're just passing through, typically don't know that we are a nonprofit. They're just passing through looking to grab something to eat. And it's continued to really have this demand, I'd say, from our community for something bigger. Next slide, probably. Yeah, so that back room, that's our access room. And we also have a lot of crossover with our other programs if they need space to do new trainings, or us just have to meetings and such. But I'd say on a rotating basis, that space is being used either in that back room or the front part of the cafe. And at this point, it truly has become like a community hub. And I think that's something that's been rather unique to this space. I live in the city. This doesn't exist in the city, where you can have real good food, wholesome, and also this continued community that's passing through. And I think that's essentially what we are going to be bringing here. That's unique to Estacada and continue to be modeled to the Estacada's demands and needs. Next slide. And so this year, a couple months ago, just out of curiosity, all of the directors had kind of pulled together anything that was a outside program that used our space. And so this is just a breakdown spreadsheet wise of what was the activity, who was it at community-based or organizational based or grant-based, the frequency of how much they were using our space and why they were there. Typically it was a community resource or it was just a community event, a community party of the sorts, it ever changing, I'd say, but ongoing. And that's really the continued use of what would be built here in Estacada as well. Next slide.
So this gets us a little bit into the project planning, but real quick, I can't remember if in your packet, if it includes the floor plan for the structure. But if it doesn't, and you've been to our Sandy Cafe, you can kind of imagine that we're building them along the same lines. And so we'll have a space for someone to order food, for someone to order coffee, and a little dining area. We'll have our cultural arts center, and then we'll have our access room, our access learning center in the back. And so we're going to try to offer those the same pattern of success that cafe model here in Estacada. And so this is a Gantt chart that displays the project to this point. The things in green are things that we have completed. The things in blue are the things that are yet to come. A few of these things require a licensed trade person. So a plumber, an HVAC tech, an electrician, someone like that to come in and see this thing through. But that said, there's a lot of stuff on here that will still be supported by, if not completed by, our construction program. So the siding, the landscaping, the installation of the appliances, the installation of the insulation and the drywall, things like that. Anything that we can support or complete, we will be doing. That said, we're also excited for the opportunity to connect youth with licensed tradespeople. And so if you can go to the next slide, please. And so this kind of brings us to discussing some of our plans for the future. One of the, and that flyer didn't, oh, that's sorry. One of the things we're excited for in the future is our next cohort of our construction program is going to take place in partnership with Estacada High School. And so we're recruiting right now for youth to join the program. And so youth from Estacada High School, 16 and up, will get the opportunity to spend their mornings on Friday in a classroom with skills tradespeople, learning everything from, how to read blueprints, construction math, a whole lot of technical jargon, and then also meeting these skilled tradespeople who are there to do the training. They'll get lunch and then they'll go out in the afternoon to our project here at 221 Southwest Wade. They'll get to participate to the degree that OSHA allows them to in the project that we're working on for that day. And so they'll get to see and experience a real construction site in a safe way, in a really good learning opportunity. So we should also mention that Clackamas County has committed operational funding for this location. So I know when we came last time, it was to ask for a letter of support, which the council did grant us. And that, you guys work with the county a lot. And so that's still on its way. But that is funding that we expect and something that we intend to commit to the repayment of this loan. Finally, we should also mention that the funding that we're requesting today, the $300,000, as well as a generous grant from Boeing for equipment, we believe will be enough to cover the remaining construction costs, around $342. As we expect the rest of the construction to cost us. So with that, does anyone have any questions here? You want anything else to add?
Questions?
Okay.
Any questions for Ant Farm on any of the construction costs or any of the expectation, Mike?
What percentage of your guys, I guess, how much money you guys have? Do you have the ability to pay back the loan if you were to apply for a loan? Is your debt to income ratio as far as your debt burden and is there any financials you can provide that show that it's going to be able to pay the loan back?
In addition to the pro forma, we met with our accountant earlier today. We have the statement of activity through June of this year. I'd be happy to give to council.
Yeah.
And as well, we haven't applied for a lot of loans, and so we weren't exactly sure what financial documents to provide. We've got financials for 2023 and 2022, as well as, this, where the books are closed through June. You guys like to take a look at these?
Is the intent that to carry the loan for 10 years? Is there other grant funding that's going to be that you're anticipating coming in?
Is to I think there was a 5-year payback schedule that we proposed in the pro forma, and that is basically a large part around funding through the county. So that's the operational funding that we'll use to repay the loan. We don't expect to carry it for the full 10 years because the county has generously offered to cover the repayment. Hope that answers your question.
Sure.
Yeah, it goes down the end.
And the 5 years on page 19.
Yes.
All right.
And can I just respond to John Dolezal's
Yeah.
comment? So I know you're concerned about the wastewater and the water funding. The URA funding cannot be spent on that. It has to be spent within the things that are listed in the urban renewal plan and within the urban renewal district. So there's a very limited scope of things that that funding can be spent on. And this is my little plug. If you want to learn more, please sign up for Civics Academy, which starts in January.
One other comment to that too,
Yes.
is just that if the money's not used within the urban renewal district, it's my understanding that if we expire with funds left in that, then that's just money that those taxes would go back to the agencies that the taxes are being taken from. So they freeze the taxes, and any growth in taxes is what's used for the repayment of the urban renewal district. And so, for instance, fire doesn't get that contribution. The fire district would not get that contribution. And so if that money is not spent within the urban renewal district, then those taxes would just be returned back to the agencies that would normally be receiving those taxes. So it wouldn't, if you don't spend it, it's not that money is going to stay in the with the city or within the city budget. It's just be returned to the agencies that the taxes are being taken from for the urban renewal district.
Can I speak a little bit about loans?
No.
So we've done a couple of loans for other businesses. One was I think we're more familiar with grants is typically what we've done, but we did a loan for the Cazadero complex when they were doing a facade improvement. And then we also did a loan for Yo Treats for their equipment in that building. And one of those loans is paid off. The other is still they're just paying on their regular payment schedule. But when they counts at towards, we only have a limited amount that we can spend in the urban renewal agency. And so when we loan that out, that counts for what is part of that maximum indebtedness is what it's called. And then as they pay it back, we can loan it out again without having to count that because we've already counted it once. We don't count it again. So we can continue to use that program income until we wrap up the urban renewal agency completely. So this is kind of a great way to be able to fund a good project with a loan that then we'll get that funding back to be able to loan out to others or until we get to the end of our project.
Okay, great. Mike?
Has there been a change in the scope of the essential community services that you intend to provide since the grant that we approved?
No, sir. In fact, I think I remember the conversation that we specifically discussed. No, that is exactly what we intend. And I think, like we said last time, folks from area codes 97022, 97023 are going to come first. That's our priority here.
I think it's great. The construction program you guys are doing with the grids, I'm excited about
Thank you.
that. I think that's awesome. Are there any other local agencies that weren't mentioned before when the grant was funded that you plan on bringing into that space to operate in that space that would go against what Nuba said that the services are going to be operating when he got the grant?
No, sir.
No, all the same ones.
I'll
No,
just speak
no
to that.
new, no.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Charity?
What would be the benefit of, doing the 5-year as opposed to the 10-year or vice versa? Any,
Well, the benefit for them is they'd be paying less interest.
right?
Yeah.
But anything for us? No.
Just that we get those funds back in to reuse again. And we could loan it out or we could use it on another project too. It's counted as program income when it comes back in. And so we could reuse that. I had thought, last I was thinking of it, we're thinking of 10 years amortization schedule, but if you can do the 5-year, because I know you're counting on some grants to come in and pay that off, but
Or even just a 5-year maturity with a 10-year amortization to keep the payment lower so that it's easier to handle. But if the intent is that you're going to pay it off in 5 years and that's what we're operating under, would you be okay with a 5-year maturity and a 10-year amortization?
Sure, yeah.
And then with this loan, your time scale, what are we talking about time scale for this project? Because I know it's
For the completion, yeah.
it's struggling on a little bit here, so I'm hoping it'll move a little bit faster.
Understood. Well, so that's the real thing. So like, I don't know if the Gantt chart really displays it, but like, I hope that the pictures would. This has been a one crew operation of myself, one other former licensed contractor, and a bunch of youth.
Yeah.
And so everything that you've seen to this point was done by us. We haven't contracted anything because we haven't had the budget to contract anything, and so this will significantly accelerate the timeline. I think what we projected on that Gantt chart was around the end of June. We'd be hoping to have all of our contractors finished with an opening, hopefully in the summer, but early fall at the latest.
Okay, all right. Well, there's a couple different ways we could go with this, guys, because I know we're gonna put it up for a vote right now. We could wait for the other members to be in on this, because they haven't really had a chance to weigh in on this. Or we could do it tonight. It's kind of up to you. So what do you feel comfortable with going forward?
When would the next vote be if we waited on the
December
ninth.
9th.
So that's not too bad. We could.
December 9th, you said? I'm okay with either, personally.
I mean, we vote all the time without other counselors being here, so I'm for just getting it out, getting it over with, letting them get started if that's the way, or let them have a month to prepare if we vote it down. So I'd say just get it over with.
I'm okay with going ahead.
Okay, Charity?
I'm okay with either.
So, Mr. Mayor, one of the things that we had asked is they get another bid because the contractor is a related party.
Yeah.
And so, as I was reviewing it, it would give us the chance to we have no reason to believe that the numbers aren't accurate, but it would get a second set of eyes on this. Particularly given kind of the scope of the original project and then what's happened. And so that if you were to delay it, it would allow us to have those numbers and it might impact what they were asking for or what you were doing as an organization.
I think that's fair
Fair
enough.
enough.
I think that's a good idea.
Another quick question
Yeah,
too.
like,
If, oh man, I lost it.
that's first line.
I lost it, I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I think that's a great idea.
I got it. Okay, sorry. The previous loan, where did the 3% come from? It's below market. That's why I'm just curious. Was the loan that got issued previously, or is it mandated the 3% a mandate? Was it matching what we did previously? And what was the
No,
rates at the
that-
time of the previous loan?
Our previous loan was 2.5%, I believe, for the most recent one. 3% is what we currently offer as a loan rate for SDC loans. So that's why we chose that. It's a loan that we already offer for like a lot of the commercial and industrial businesses that come in that request an SDC loan.
At the time, what year was it when the Treats loan went out? Because it seems like it's probably pretty close to what the going rate was at the time. Because it was, I mean, like for loans were in the threes at the time in 2017, 18, 19. Now it's like a third of, or, less than half of what the
Mhm.
current rate is in the market.
Yeah,
Do we know what year the Treats loan was?
I can look it up.
she's faster. I'll let her. Yeah, it would have been, what, 2018 or 2019, 2018?
So
John,
they were
when
in the
did
low,
they-
maybe the low threes at that time.
2018.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what interest, I'll Google that too. But yeah, the standard interest rate would have been lower.
It was 2018.
Okay.
2018. So they were in the low threes at that time. I refied in 19 and I got 2.85. So it would just plug from SD. So how did we decide on the rate at the time when we did Treats loan? Do you
I-
remember how that was figured?
I don't remember how that was
I
figured.
think it was prime.
Prime?
I think it was prime.
Yeah,
If we are to move forward with it, whatever the conditions were for the previous loan, I would like to see that applied to the rate for the current loan, if it were to go through.
Yeah, that's fair. But I think having some time and some eyes on this would be appropriate for this kind of loan. So I think scheduling it on December 9th to bring it back, I think we'll have the other board members here as well. Is that going to hurt your
That's
timeline?
absolutely fine. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
great. We
which is-
appreciate it.
to be clear, this just accelerates things for us. We'll just keep picking away
All right.
at our slow pace that we have been.
All right. we
How-
appreciate
Have you guys been able to contact another contractor to get another
We
bid started?
reached out to, so Travis, Travis of Kingdom Builders, the one who did our
Travis
remodel for
Siri?
Dobris.
Yeah.
Siri, yeah. We reached out to him to get a quote from him, as well as Frank Helton, the guy that he has given us a bid on the roof for this project already. So we figure he's a general contractor, he could give us another bid. I should mention, I'm the contractor. I'm the person who holds the license that prepared the estimates, and these things are all done, at cost for Ant Farm. And so it will be tough for any other contractor to put a competitive bid up against this, just because there isn't any markup on anything. So
Yeah.
but
That's
that being
great.
said, I'd love to see it. I'd love to hear their thoughts on it. And so we welcome all input. So
All right, great. All right, so you got that marked down for the next meeting, and
Yes.
we appreciate your presentation. You
yeah,
did a great
thank you
job.
for having us today.
Yeah, it was
Thank
great
you.
to have the slideshow and everything and give us the pictures.
As,
We're always
if
good
anyone
pictures.
ever wants to take a visit, walk around over there, meet some of the youth, we welcome you. So
All right, great.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
you.
thank you.
thanks.
Okay, thanks.
All right, board member comments. Do we have any? No? All right, this meeting is adjourned. And you've got probably about 3 minutes before the next one starts.
Quick break.
So quick break.